Hi there everybody, Andrew Rice here on the lesson tee at the Western Savannah Harbour Resort. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to share 2 key points to help you get the most out of the big stick, and certainly who wouldn't want that? I know I would. Let's get the most out of what we're putting in. You don't need a new body, you don't need a new club. 2 cool key points, but before we get to that, I do want to encourage you, please subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you join in as a subber on my channel. I want to give you good, free information to help you get more joy out on the golf course. Also, if you like this video, please share. If you wish to learn more about me, AndrewRiceGolf.com, as a Golf Digest Top 50 teacher and a Golf.com Top 100 teacher, I am here to help you get more out of your game. Let's check it out. So today we're looking at 2 keys that are going to help you start to get the most out of the big stick. And who wouldn't want that? I know I certainly want that. We are not talking about increasing club speed. We are not talking about going out and buying a new club. We're talking about things that you can do starting today. How can you start working towards getting the most out of the club you have in your hand with the body that you currently inhabit? So 2 keys. Let's start with number 1. Firstly, let's just talk a little bit about what are the 2 factors that we're going to discuss today. Number 1, we are looking, and you've heard it before, we are looking for high launch. How can we launch this ball higher? And I think there's something important for everybody to consider before we move forward with working towards launching the ball higher. Is if you are a high-speed player, and keeping in mind we've got juniors that are high speed, that would certainly be slow for the college level, and so on and so forth. So if you're high speed relative to your peers, relative to the group that you typically play with, you might not need to launch it as high. You might need to invest a little bit more of your effort into controlling the golf ball. But I know for so many of you that are watching this, you're looking to get more out of the driver. You're looking to advance your ball further down the fairway. And how are we going to do that? My experience is this: let's launch the ball up in the air. We've got to get that ball up in the air. If you're looking for more distance, and let's be frank, PGA Tour players are rarely looking for more distance. They're oftentimes looking for more control. Regular golfers, the kind of golfers that come to see me here in Savannah to work on their golf games, those are the golfers that need to look towards more distance, and we're going to try to launch that ball up in the air. We're going to today investigate factors that will help with launching it up. And number 2, we're going to work towards reducing spin. So many golfers I encounter have an ill-fit driver, they mishit the golf ball, and as a result that spin rate goes up. So how can we get, you've heard this before, high launch, low spin? How can we work towards high launch and low spin? Let's start off with some high launch. Number 1, we want our club head as it runs into the golf ball traveling away from the ground. We need to. That is just a non-negotiable. We need to be hitting up on the golf ball. So a cool little trick, a cool little hack is measure 1 grip length in front of the golf ball, okay? And you put your 3 golf balls down, and you've got to, hopefully the golf ball you're about to hit is going to go over those 3 balls, but we also want to make sure that the club head is going to traverse above over those 3 golf balls. So we want to be hitting up on the golf ball. Now, what goes into that? I've got a high tee, nothing longer, nothing extreme, but I'm just using a regular standard length tee, just barely pegged into the ground. I've got that ball up in the air nice and high, inside, maybe even in line with my lead foot. I've got a little bit of tilting myself away from the target, and now I know through the help of that little orange box and some good feedback, I know that when I make a swing with the driver, I can easily get it going upward, ascending. I can actually even get it going too much up. And so if you can hit a host of shots where your club never runs into those 3 golf balls, you are getting the sense, not the sense, you're actually getting the feedback that your club is traveling up. Okay, we've got to hit up on the golf ball. Number 2, when it comes to elevating our launch, high launch. Let's get those golf balls out of there, thank you. Number 2 is we've got to impact the ball high on the club face. And so you've seen this with me before, Dr. Scholl's Odor X, any kind of foot spray, any kind of indicator really that's going to give us that feedback and show us where we're striking the ball on the face. Now, where do we want to hit the ball and why is it important? First and foremost, we want to hit the ball on the top half, get the center of the ball on the top half of the club face. Okay, I think that's important because the club face is rounded. There's less loft on the bottom part of the face than there is on the top part of the face. I have a 9-degree driver, according to Ping, and it's 9 degrees really across the center of the face, across that equator line. Let's get the strike up from there. And so the second thing we can work towards in order to elevate launch is let's get the impact location high on the face. My tendency here is to typically hit the ball low on the face. What do I need to think if I really want to get that strike up on the face? I need to think of taking that tee. I'm going to try to slide my club underneath the golf ball. I'm going to think of taking that tee out from under the ball. Let's see how I do. Try to get that elevated strike, Andrew. Oh. That was not very good. Well, it was elevated, it was high and out the heel, but it was high. That was my goal. Okay, ideally we certainly don't want to hit it out the heel. So high launch is going to be a product of hitting up on the golf ball. It's going to be a product of impacting the ball on the upper hemisphere of the club face. Do we want to crank up the loft on our driver? My experience with that is no, we don't. Okay, yes, we want to have an appropriately lofted driver, but just simply going with a 14-degree lofted driver is not going to help most of us achieve what we're looking for, and that is more distance. We might elevate launch, but we're going to greatly elevate spin as well. And so we're looking, let's keep in mind, high launch and low spin. Now, I've got, as we move on to point number 2 here, which is reducing the spin. Okay, reducing the spin. It's not for everybody, but it is for most golfers, certainly that I encounter. Let's bring that spin rate down. There are certainly different types of driver heads. Most often that tour model of the club brand you prefer, that tour model is going to serve to reduce spin simply because tour players have so much speed that they tend to create an inordinate amount of spin. I will also say this, if you are a very, very high speed golfer, for example, Cameron Champ is looking for low launch and higher spin. Why? So that he can control his golf ball better. He's really trying to launch his ball low and have spin rates in the 3,000 range simply because he has this massive dose of speed that we would love to have and we will not have. We don't have, unfortunately. Okay, and so if you're very high speed, we're going to reduce launch. Those tour players don't need to launch it high in the air. They're looking for that control factor. Okay, and so spin rate wise, I will also say that if you play at altitude, if you're playing at altitude, you want to have higher than customary spin rates. Okay, and what is a customary spin rate? I think for most people, if they had around somewhere between 1900 to 2400 spin rate off the driver face, you're going to get some good value out of that. And ultimately that's what this tip is all about, is how can we start to get the most out of our driver? High launch, low spin. We don't need 1,000 RPMs, but we need something that's lowish. And the whole key there is, number 1, let's impact the ball high on the face, and number 2, let's make sure that it's not out the heel. Okay, I've got TrackMan tracking the spin rates here. I'm going to give myself another go at this. I'm going to try to see if I can get it high out the face and slightly on the toe. You would be amazed as to how the spin rate comes down as we move that impact location up the face and out towards the toe. Typically, it's almost always going to be less out there. So high launch, low spin, a good recipe for that is high on the face and just a touch out the toe. Come on. it was high on the face, high-ish on the face, but I need more toe. I need some work on this, okay? And this is where feedback comes in. Get yourself a can of foot spray, spray it on the face, and really work towards creating a feel, a sense as to where to hit that ball on the face. I know this. If you can hit up on the ball and impact the ball on the upper part of the face, it is going to greatly enhance the distance you get off the tee, and you're going to start to have more fun. For most golfers, they need to launch the ball higher and they need to reduce that spin rate, and that's really what we're talking about here today. You will be amazed at what improving, upgrading, pun intended, upgrading that impact location on the face is going to do as far as bringing the spin rate down and elevating the launch. Give it a go. I hope this helps. Let's all benefit from hitting it a little longer and getting a little more out of our big stick. Yes, it might seem simple, but I know this. If you put those keys into action, you're going to start to get the most out of your driver that you possibly can get. Who wouldn't want that? Give it a go. If you like this video, please share it. If you like this video, like it. I really would appreciate that. Also, subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be putting out a bunch more great free information to help you enjoy this awesome game we play together. Cheers.